From JBS Studios in Greater New York, this is the JBS News Update with Teisha Bader.
I'm Teisha Bader with the JBS News Update for Friday, February the 15th, 2019. We open with a minor diplomatic crisis between Israel and Poland that seems to have been averted. It began when Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was asked by the Times of Israel at the Warsaw Conference this week about the so-called Holocaust law that was passed by Poland last year, which makes it illegal to blame Poland as a country for any atrocities during the Holocaust. The Prime Minister said in his response that Poles, in not insignificant numbers, cooperated with the Nazis, saying he didn't want to whitewash history. Well, some Israeli media reported that Netanyahu said the Poles or even the Polish nation had collaborated. When those reports came out, Polish President Andrzej Duda apparently considered withdrawing from a high-level summit that's scheduled to take place in Israel next week. But the Prime Minister's office, as well as Israel's embassy in Poland, quickly clarified that the Prime Minister spoke of Poles and not the Polish people. Duda's office has now expressed that all is fine, blaming the incident on media manipulation. Today, the Polish president accompanied U.S. Vice President Mike Pence to the grounds of Auschwitz. The leaders and their wives toured the memorial site at the former death camp and took part in a wreath-laying ceremony. Several thousand Palestinians gathered near the Gaza security fence today, rioting with burning tires, throwing stones, and trying to sabotage and breach the security fence. IDF troops responded with tear gas and live fire when necessary. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry said that 2 Palestinians had been injured. Israel police said that an Israeli border police officer was lightly injured by shrapnel in the leg when a pipe bomb exploded next to his team. He was taken to the hospital for treatment. New York Mayor Bill de Blasio addressed a New York City-sponsored rally last night against anti-Semitism. Speaking at Brooklyn's Kingsway Jewish Center, de Blasio vowed that New York would not tolerate any hateful bias acts, referring to recent incidents of ultra-Orthodox Jews being assaulted in Brooklyn and of hateful graffiti targeting Jews.
New York City will never be silent in the face of hatred. To anyone who has hatred in their heart, and they're thinking of going out and scrawling something on a subway or a front door, they're thinking of attacking an individual because of what they're wearing or because of the language they speak. If you do that, we will find you, we will arrest you, and you will go to prison, period.
De Blasio also took a firm stance against the BDS, Boycott, Divestment, and Sanctions campaign that seeks to delegitimize the State of Israel.
And I want to say again on a bipartisan basis, and I am a progressive, and I say this proudly, you can disagree with the government of Israel on any particular matter. Everyone has that right. But don't do anything that attacks the fundamental right of Israel to exist. And maybe some people don't realize it, but when they support the BDS movement, they are affronting the right of Israel to exist, and that is unacceptable.
Israeli Consulate General in New York, Dani Dayan, thanked the mayor, he wrote on Twitter, for your strong words today against anti-Semitism and in support of the State of Israel. The Times of Israel reports, citing the East Africa Business Week, that for the first time since the 1976 hostage-taking at Entebbe Airport and subsequent Israeli rescue, an Israeli plane carrying 250 tourists landed at Uganda's Entebbe Airport yesterday. On June the 27th of 1976, Palestinian terrorists hijacked an Air France jet that was flying from Tel Aviv to Paris, diverting it to Uganda. They released the non-Jewish passengers but kept the Jewish passengers hostage. The Air France crew chose to remain with the hostages. A week later, on July the 4th, 98 of the hostages were rescued in the daring raid on Entebbe by elite Israeli commandos. 4 hostages were killed, as was Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's older brother, Yonatan, or Yoni, who led the rescue. Prime Minister Netanyahu flew into Entebbe Airport 3 years ago to mark the 40th anniversary of the rescue, but yesterday was the first time since those harrowing days that Israeli tourists visited. The Uganda Tourism Board CEO Stephen Asimwe said, "We are positive that this visit will attract more visitors from Israel and the rest of the world. The two countries," he said, "have a shared piece of history, and we hope to strengthen our travel trade in order to increase the number of Israeli tourists coming to Uganda." Well, the week-long joint military drill between Israeli and American forces concluded successfully yesterday. Operation Juniper Falcon 2019 saw some 300 troops from the United States European Command, alongside some 400 Israeli troops from various units in the IDF, simulating a number of wartime scenarios in order to improve the readiness of both countries for such situations and to strengthen their connection. Lieutenant General Jeffrey Harrigan, who is Deputy Commander of the U.S. Air Forces in Europe Air Forces Africa, told the Jerusalem Post these sorts of drills provide the glue that strengthens the bond between the United States and Israel.
Together, we develop our partnership,
improve our coordination, and strengthen our cooperation.
hand in hand, side by side.
We are ready.
Taking a look now at our programming for tonight on JBS for Friday, February the 15th. Live Shabbat services are coming up at 6 o'clock from New York City's Central Synagogue, followed by Israeli singer Ron Eliran in concert. At 8, Rabbi Harold Kushner speaks at the 92nd Street Y. At 9, it's the film The Pin, a love story in the shadow of the Holocaust in Yiddish with English subtitles. Then at 10:30, it's Muzika with Israeli rap group Subliminal. Coming up right after this newscast tonight, a look at this week's Torah portion. And that's the JBS News Update for Friday, February the 15th, 2019. I'm Teisha Bader. Shabbat Shalom.